Hello biology students and welcome to the lecture video, An Introduction to DNA. Today we'll begin our journey into DNA. By the end of this video, you'll understand what DNA is, what it's made of, its structure, and the role it plays in our lives. Please watch this lecture video in entirety and fill out the fill-in-the-blank notes worksheet that was handed out in class. Please remember that you can watch this video as many times as you need to understand all the concepts. So what is DNA? We've all heard of it before, but what exactly is it? DNA is short for deoxyribonucleic acid, and it acts as a blueprint for our genetic makeup. It's the carrier of our genetic code. It's what makes you, you. So how does DNA do this? DNA transcribes information to make RNA, which then translates the information to make amino acids, which are the components of proteins. Proteins are the building blocks of life. This concept is called the central dogma. We will come back to this concept again in the next unit. What is DNA made of? DNA is made of molecules called nucleotides. Nucleotides are comprised of a phosphate group, a sugar group, and a nitrogen base. The sugar is called deoxyribose. This is where the name deoxyribonucleic acid comes from. Look at the image on the screen. Note that the phosphate group is negatively charged. This will be an important factor when we talk about DNA structure. One of the parts of a nucleotide is the nitrogen base. There are 4 types of nitrogen bases in DNA: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. We will use the symbols A, T, G, and C to represent these nitrogen bases. The order that these bases pair in is what determines DNA instructions or genetic code. These nitrogen bases pair with one another. They do this by making hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds occur when a partial negative charge on an oxygen attracts a partial positive charge on a hydrogen. In the image here, the dashed line represents the hydrogen bond. These weak bonds are very important in biology. Don't worry if you don't understand this concept 100%. We will come back to it again and again. The way that nitrogen bases pair with one another is very specific. They always pair the same way, based on where their shape and where the partial charges are. So adenine, A, always pairs with thymine, T. Guanine, G, always pairs with cytosine, C. So like the images on the screen, we will always see the pairs A and T, or T and A together, and G and C, or C and G together. The structure of DNA is a double helix. The nucleotides attach together to form 2 long strands that form a spiral structure. This is the double helix. You can think of the double helix like a ladder. The sugar and phosphate molecules make the sides. And the double helix, we call this the backbone, the sugar-phosphate backbone. And the nitrogen bases, adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine, form the rungs of the ladder as base pairs. Again, note the way that these pairs are together: G and C, T and A and T. Where can we find DNA? DNA is located inside a cell nucleus, but the strands of DNA are very long, about 2 meters long. So how could something 2 meters long fit inside something as tiny as the nucleus of a cell? The answer is that DNA is tightly packed inside thread-like structures called chromosomes. And then these chromosomes are located inside the cell nucleus. An organism's complete set of DNA, including all genes, is called a genome. The human genome contains more than 3 billion DNA base pairs. Do you all remember what base pairs are? Can you give an example? I hope you said something like A and T or G and C. So we've all heard the term genes before, but what exactly are they? Genes are sequences or regions of DNA that form a molecular unit of heredity. They vary in size from a few hundred to more than 2 million bases. The set of genes you've inherited is known as your genotype. A phenotype is a set of observable characteristics of an individual resulting from the interaction of its genotype with the environment. So your genotype is your genetic code, something you can't see, but your phenotype is observable characteristics, something you can see. What determines your genotype? Your genotype is a combination of maternal and paternal alleles. Alleles are variations of genes. Alleles can be dominant or recessive. A Punnett square is a diagram that can be used to determine the probability of an offspring having a particular genotype based on the parent's dominant and recessive alleles. Typically, in a Punnett square, the dominant trait is represented with a capital letter, while the recessive trait is represented with a lowercase letter. In this way, we can figure out the probability of a certain trait. Tomorrow, we're going to learn more about Punnett squares and explore how they work. Thank you for watching this lecture video. Be sure to fill out your notes rubric and turn it in at the beginning of class tomorrow. Again, you're able to watch this video as many times as you need to understand the vocabulary words and the concepts. Thank you.